Um, so I want to talk about currently the series of painting that I'm working on. And the series of painting that I'm working on is influenced by a psychological thought called Neoplatonism. Neoplatonism emerged and flourished uh, in the Greco-Roman um, world of late antiquity, in the period between the middle of the 3rd century and the middle of the 7th century. That's when the Roman imperial crisis and the Arab conquest took place. Plotinus, who was Egyptian born, is the founder of Neoplatonism, and he was a pupil of the Alexandrian philosopher Ammonius Saccas of the 3rd century. The big shift for him happened when he moved from Alexandria to Rome in the year 245, when he was 40 years old, and it was only until his pupil Fofori took his writings, compiled it, published it, and in a collection of books, of 6 books with 9 essays called the Enneads or the Nines. I start to talk about Neoplatonism. It's a very vast subject, but I am able to understand it closely in association with my paintings and how I have undertaken to understand the subject. So the little that I have known is what I would like to share with you. Unlike the ancient theologians of Israel and Egypt, who believed that the universe was created by a deity, the Neoplatonists believed that reality emerged from the first, and in coherent stages, and each stage is a creative principle of the next. For example, if you look at the sun, the nuclear fusion of it is the inner activity, but the outer activity yields to light and heat. Similarly, a genetic code of a particular tree will give you a particular kind of fruit. The internal workings of a human being, what he feels and what he thinks, is expressed in terms of speech and action. The Neoplatonists were of the view that the outer activity is not the purpose and the end of the inner activity, and they were rather in a concomitant relationship with each other, which means that each falls out of the other and they are naturally associated and naturally accompanied. The Neoplatonists also believed that the outer effect of the first is nous. Nous is an abstract and ambiguous concept which means intelligence, but they preferred to call it the absolute and pure consciousness. So we finished nous. Okay. The Neoplatonists also believed that consciousness is the second hypothesis. Hypothesis again is an abstract noun which is derived from the verb to place under or beneath, with the connotation of standing one's ground. Although the Neoplatonists followed the Platonic tradition, they of demurrage, which means divine craftsmanship, they differed. Craftsmen think, forge, labor. They arrange and coordinate a host of diverse technical operations and create a product of their craft in the process. The Neoplatonists, however, thought that in terms of metaphysics, uh, to take such a crude analogy would not apply. Consciousness, they believed, had one activity, and in its multiplicity lay its unity. The inner active life of consciousness produces only one effect, and that is the soul. The second law of thermodynamics states that the structural and the dispositional diversity of all inanimate objects converge to an irreversible entropy. For example, if you take hundreds of chairs and you put them in a limited space and you remove the chairs from the bottom, the rest of them are in a motion of readiness to fill in that space and creating entropy and disorder thereby. However, the Neoplatonists believed that in nature it was different. In the biosphere, we witness an ever increasing tendency of diversities of all natural kinds and species. The Neoplatonists supported this with the non-Darwinian supposition that all eternal forms of natural kinds in the hypothesis of consciousness emerge gradually in the world through a process of an evolutionary organic process. The Neoplatonists therefore assumed an axiomatic that nothing could come to be here below that is not prefigured paradigmatically in the intelligent realm. This brings us closest to my painting, which is called the Neotic Cosmos. Neotic means intelligence and cosmos means the universe. I have painted for many years, and most of the paintings I've kept it to myself, but I think that the subject Neoplatonism has helped me come to a point where the inner activity of an artist is able to configure different elements. Like here, I worked, initially I thought I would paint a beach, and many years back, if I would have intended to do that, I would just paint a beach with water and the sky. But I approached this in a very different context, because here the water on the land is separated by a horizon, and I have tried to understand by what I read and taking my subject in view that it has in its, the water as an element in itself has a lot, has consciousness. And I tried to, let's just say that over the years I think I have grown as an artist, because I feel that it's important to grow as an artist in a very organic process, and not because and also in an intelligent way. By intelligence, I do not mean what is commonly translated as intellectual, but more so about understanding your pure consciousness and where it comes from. And that is why my subject that I have chosen is the inner activities of an artist's mind, what he feels, what he does, what he's listening to, what he's reading, how it interacts with his technical process, and what gives way is the outer activity. The outer activity is, however, what the viewer or the audience would see it as, how they would read the painting. But like I said before, like the Neoplatonists, I'm of the view that it's not the end and it's not the purpose. It's more important for me to tell my story and to tell the story of the painting. Dan?